Welcome to Collecting Chaos, and I will talk a little bit today, so I'll show you some things out of my collection, and it is Collecting Chaos, so just be prepared to see anything. And of course, right now what you're looking at is a autographed Alex Ross print of the Man of Steel. What can be better than that, right? And like I said, you're going to see a bunch of different things today. We'll start with a few comic books. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to show them to you. Recently I made a comment during one of Reggie Collect's live streams that was basically collect what you like to read. Don't worry about value. I kind of regret that a little bit, as I fear people might not understand my actual meaning. It would have been better if I said collect what you like. Some people that collect comics only do so for the art. Don't read them. Others are all about key issues. Still others don't care much about the art as long as the story is well written. And finally, there are those that collect a particular title or character. This is absolutely the best way to collect. Collect what you like. And if it's a hot book, that's great. But if it isn't, that's okay too, as long as it's something you like. We're going to switch gears a little bit here. I'm going to take this down. Now that I've teased you with the flash. I'm reminded of my purchase of Superman and Superman-related comics back in the 80s and 90s, and having people tell me I should be collecting Marvel X titles instead. I just smile. Go my merry way. Keep buying my Superman. It's what I liked. Later I was told that I needed to buy those Image comics, that was going to be it. That was going to be the ultimate. Wasn't going to get any better than that. I just smiled, picked up my copies of Harbinger #1, while they laughed at my purchasing an untested book by a minor publisher. I later sold both of the Harbinger #1s. I got $125 for one and $150 for the other. And I used them to purchase some Silver Age Supermans. The next is the whole run of first issue special. If you don't have these, I really suggest you get them. They've got some really good stories, and every one is a key. Yeah, they complain that, their Image books were still basically cover, except Spawn, which was about $20 for years. I think it's back up to around $20. I don't know. Those 20 or 30 Silver Age comics I bought are worth between $40 and $70 a piece now. The Image comics are still fairly inexpensive. I bought what I liked. When buying comics, think about the average price of a new comic. It's $4 or $5 right now. And that's for any comic. So, as a rule of thumb, any comic that's in very fine or better condition, and yeah, that's Jack Kirby. Should be worth $4 to $5 to you. Any comic that's in very fine or better condition, you'd probably be okay if you pay $4 to $5. More often than not, you can pick up most modern comics, 1986 to present, for under $5 each. Of course, there's exceptions for key books, which means that it is an absolute necessity to be able to quickly assess the condition of a comic book. Always remember the old adage, though, that you can't judge a book by its cover. And in comics, that means that the interior of the comic should be just as important to you as the cover. So, when you go to buy a comic from a dealer, ask if they might take it out of the sleeve. Let them know you're interested in the page quality and the completeness. If they say no, thank them and walk away. If they take it out and they open it up for you so that you can see it, that's a little better. These are kind of neat. It's hard to see. That's Daredevil, and it's from the famous cover series. Nothing beats our Mr. Sinister. Being able to take a comic out, feel the paper for its supplements, counting the pages, and checking the tightness of the staples, none of which you can do by looking at the cover. Dark Phoenix. Which means you gotta look, you gotta touch, you gotta feel, you gotta understand what you're looking at. And the vision. Now, I'm not going to say that the cover isn't important. The cover is about 90% of the grade of any given comic. You can have a near mint comic with cream colored pages and a very fine one. That's hard to see, but what you're looking at is Kitty Pryde. You have very fine comic with tan pages. And that is despite tan being one of the lowest grades for page quality. Not strange? So when you look inside the comic, you're looking to see if it's complete and if the centerfold's intact. And counting the pages is hands down the best way to know if it has the centerfold. How about a key issue? Anybody like key issues? Now when you're looking at the cover, you want to check the corners and the spine. If there are no glaring defects, such as long creases or stains, it's a good chance you're looking at a comic in very fine or better, as long as the inside is intact. This, of course, also depends on the actual number of minor defects. Yeah, minor defects are important too. If I see a comic and it has one or two minor defects, I might give it a near mint to mint grade. If it has 6 minor defects, I'll go near mint minus every time. Possibly even lower, depending on how bad they are. If it has 6 or more or a color break, very fine to near mint is the best it's going to get from me. That one's in kind of rough shape, but hell, it's the first appearance of Scarecrow. Still, a modern book, that'd be okay. I wouldn't have a huge problem with paying $4 or $5 for a book from 1985 if it's in very fine or better condition. What about older books? Well, you decide the condition the same, but personally I lower my standards. These are in plastic. They are autographed by Claiborne Moore. And that's Medieval Witchblade. I'm going to take a break from my script for a second to talk about these. Medieval Witchblade. Witchblade. Kenneth Irons. That one's kind of tough to see. Lady Demon. Nottingham. Evil Ernie. And the crash you heard was the one that fell to the floor. Lady Death. So anyway, like I said, I lower my standards a little for older books that are common, and those are ones that I don't consider keys. And if they're in very good or better condition, to me, they're easily worth the price of a new comic. When I get to early silver and older comics and very good or better, I don't hesitate to consider paying several times the cost of a new comic, or more, depending on how badly I want that comic. And then when it comes to lower grade comics, I got to think long and hard before I'm willing to commit to a bid or an auction or an outright purchase. So in review, look at what you're buying. Look at the condition and the age, and decide what you are willing to pay for the comic based on those criteria. Once you've decided that what you would be willing to pay, then take a look at the market value and decide if it's a comic you want for your collection. Ultimately, the idea of low grade is better than no grade is not a good way to collect, in my opinion, as it's a commitment to settling for less than what you want, and you will most likely try to upgrade it later on anyway. To me, it's better to get what you want the first time, or sell comics that are on the fringes of your collection to get that better grade comic that you want. My recommendation to build a nice collection is for every new comic dollar you spend, put away that same amount for older comics from the Bronze, Silver Age, pre-Silver Age, post-Golden Age, Golden Age, or Platinum Age comics. You know, Platinum Age comics really aren't that expensive when you consider how old they are. Well, that's going to be about it for my rant today. But tomorrow, we're going to go a little deeper. We're going to grade a comic book. As a matter of fact, we are going to grade this comic book. So you don't want to miss that one. By the way, this is a key issue. It has the first appearance of the Silver Age for Catwoman. First appearance of Catwoman in the Silver Age. So like the video if you like it, or downvote it if you don't. Leave a comment, and if you haven't subscribed, consider doing so. And I'll catch you tomorrow when we grade this comic. And that's it for today. Bye.